Okay, it looks like we are live. We're back and welcome everybody to the channel. It is now week 10. This is the last episode of the free coaching series. I hope that you guys can hear everything okay and that, again, it's live. It's off the floor, so it's not edited. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to make as little mistakes as possible. But hey, it's conversation, it's live, and it's real time. So thank you guys for joining me. And I appreciate you being here over the last 9 weeks getting to this point. So if you've been implementing the lessons as you've been watching them and learning how to put them into effect into your life, you should now be seeing result. You should be feeling better. You should be sleeping better. You should be having more energy in your day. You should also notice that you have more strength when you're training. You should have better nutritional concepts, reading food labels, and feeling more educated about the whole process. And in all of that, with the power of knowledge, comes the power of excitement because you now know what you're doing. Now you got to go do it. And when you apply it, you create new evidence for what's possible for you. And that makes me excited for you. So today, what are you going to do with all this new nutritional evidence that you've got, this new nutritional energy? You're going to put it into effect with good quality strength training. Welcome to week 10 as we talk about strength training. This is one of my favorite topics because that's where I began. When I was 240 pounds, I was way overweight. I had boxed and competed in amateur boxing at 147 pounds. Then I ended up moving up to 156 pounds. I even competed as high as 175 at one point. And I'll tell you, that wasn't the weight class for me to be in sport or really, in the way that I was able to perform at my best. I was definitely at my best at 147. But let me tell you this. It's not about weight when it comes to life. Life isn't a competitive sport. So if you are stressing about the scale because that's the determining factor for you, you're doing it wrong. If you're not in a competitive sport where your weight class matters, then there is no weight class for you that you should be basing your success or failure upon. You should not be basing your entire fitness and health journey on weight at all. Weight is just a metric of how much mass is pushing down on that scale, on that spring or that digital, reading. If I put rocks in my pocket, I put water in my body, I wet my hair, whatever I do could add weight to my body. None of that is going to mean anything though. And we all assume that if a pound goes up, it's got to be a pound of fat, right? And it's so detrimental to your day. Some people have their day ruined by a scale and they can't get past that. Well, then for you, that if you're that person, get rid of your scale. It's not going to do you any good to be more stressed because you saw a pound go up or a pound go down. It's not going to make or break anything because it means nothing unless you're in a competitive sport. So please make note of that before we get started today, because we're talking about strength training. If I said to you, would you like to put on some new muscle and have it look more toned, sculpted, shredded, ripped? You know, the words we all use in the fitness industry, those words that really trigger people into thinking that's the program for me or that's what I need to do. I want to be jacked. I want to be ripped. I want to be lean. I want to have those six-pack abs, right? All those things that are marketed to you, airbrushed to perfection, and then sold to you in a nice little bundled package with a bow on it. You're chasing so much imagery. You're chasing things that are never really sustainable. And so I want to put it in a way that can have my listeners and the people who support Precision Elite Training, I want you guys to understand that health as a whole is about balance. It's about having a lifestyle you enjoy that you can keep on a daily basis and in a body that you can really be proud of and feel good in. And it's going to have ups and downs. Life is going to have stress. But at the end of the day, it's not about chasing some aesthetic airbrushed goal you saw on Instagram. If that's what's triggering you, stop following those accounts immediately. Get away from following expectations that aren't real in the first place. Even the people who post this stuff don't look like that 365 days a year. They don't even feel like what they look like in the image. Usually they feel like death on wheels, right? Or death on heels, or death on whatever it is, right? They're not in a good place. Yet they take a picture that looks like they are. They look like $1 million, but they look like they're $1 million in debt if you look at the inside of their body and their health and their hormone balance. Stop chasing that type of insanity. That's not perfect at all. So again, I told you the story about my boxing weight class because here's the reality. Today, I weigh 190 pounds. Sometimes when I'm leaning down, I will go as low as like 185. And at my biggest, I'm going to probably end up around 200 pounds. So I currently will play within the ranges of 185 to 200. That's a large spectrum right there. And I'll tell you this, 46 years old right now, feeling better, healthier, stronger, happier, more elite than I was at the Olympic level of boxing when I was 147 pounds, putting all my time and energy into, morning runs, sprinting, punishing my body, working out 6 days a week, hitting 3 workouts a day, training to be an Olympian. Well, here's the difference. That's not my life anymore. That's not what I train for now. I train for health and longevity. I train for a balanced life that I can pass on to you. Not every one of you wants to be an Olympian either. Although, hey, maybe those days were there, that maybe that was a dream of yours, and maybe it still is, and I'd never talk you out of doing what you want to do. But here's what I really want you to know. If you're not training for the Olympics, don't start to think like you need to live that way. Don't look to be in a weight class. Forget weight. You want to get stronger? You don't need to be a power lifter. You don't need to compete in powerlifting, but you should get stronger for you. It's you today versus you yesterday. That's the most important thing. Who were you yesterday? What will you do today? And who will you become tomorrow because of what you did today? If all that's moving in the right direction, then forget this whole anxiety about being, perfect. Forget about stressing yourself and trying to eat everything clean to 100% perfection. Stop expecting one workout program to change everything for you. Ladies and gentlemen, it's about balance. It's about continual progress. It's about progressive overload. And progressive overload happens in many, many forms. Continuing to get better, challenging yourself outside the comfort zone a little bit at a time, every single day. 1% better could make all the difference. Doesn't need to be 10% or 100% better. 1% better every day. 365 days, 365, 1% each day. Wouldn't that feel amazing? 100 days later, if you worked at just 1% better each day, that would be 100% improvement. Now, again, I'm not going to talk math and split hairs over the math. Maybe 100 days doesn't equal 100%. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. Make small incremental improvement. So I know I can get off on a tangent because my passion will override all of the information, but here's my anecdotal experience. I first came from that boxing world where I was stressing my body, destroying my hormones, and trying to fit into a weight class model. My stress was all about getting on that scale the morning of a competition. So you can see that the stress was going to be very, very high to get into that mode. Sometimes you had to really do extreme things to get the body weight into that weight class the morning of. And then you had to replenish because you were on death's door the morning of that weigh-in. So you'd go and you'd eat and you'd drink and you'd put all that weight back on again after you made weight. Is that really healthy? Is that where you want to spend your life, yo-yoing between those extremes? Probably not. Not for longevity anyway, not for sustainability. So let's talk about this. I end up getting an injury that costs me my Olympic dream. I spend the next 7-8 years completely letting go of everything I'd ever worked for, everything I'd ever done. And I said, forget the stress, forget about it. And I never ever really knew about eating nutritionally. That was never really a factor. We just knew that we couldn't eat much if we were trying to make a weight class because we had to get the weight down. So we used starvation as a model for losing the weight. And we used extreme punishment as a conditioning and as a weight loss. So this is, again, a very, very nasty relationship with health and fitness in the form of sport, athletic competition, and lifestyle. You can see there's two opposing ends there. So once I took this 7 years off after competing and I let myself go, the stress levels went down. I wasn't working out and punishing my body anymore. I had a chance to heal, but I also had a chance to decrease my metabolic rate. I had a chance to completely eat in abundance, not just abundance of calories, but abundance of processed calories. I went into eating everything and anything because I didn't care anymore. I was in a depressive state. I had really given up on my dream. I lost focus on purpose. I had no reason why this ever mattered anymore. And here's what it is. How many people out there are living like that day to day? No mission, no purpose, no reason why you do it. You just think, hey, I better get into fitness. I should eat better. I should weight train, or I should do something active. I should get some steps. I should. Like Anthony Robbins says, you end up shoulding all over yourself. The point here is, you know what you're supposed to do. You got to find balance in doing it in a fun and exciting way. I had lost focus, lost purpose, and you might be sitting there too. We got to find a reason to pull yourself back out of this rut or this funk or this ditch that you're in, right? The difference between a groove and a grave is how long you stay there, right? How long you keep staying there doing the same thing over and over. So let's get you on the right track. We want to talk about strength training. We've gone over everything in the past about nutrition so far, really talking about lifestyle, sleep habits, so many things that are going to drive the training in both the energy and the recovery. You're not going to see the value until you get this part in check. So when I came out of this 240-pound body, I had gained all this weight, completely inactive, completely depressed. I had the opportunity to go back and have purpose again, coaching some young up and coming boxing prodigies. And they were all running around with no guided programming, no structure, no coaching. And the one thing I had, even though I was 240 pounds, I did not have physical representation of an Olympic athlete, but I did still have the knowledge to give. So I brought that knowledge back to the gym and I said, I can teach. At the very least, I can pass on the knowledge, and I'll do that with passion. What could you do with passion today that would get you excited? And then know it would be even more passionate if you showed up in shape, if you looked the part, not just sounded, talk the talk. You should walk the walk too. And the more you keep walking the walk, that 1% a day, I'm telling you, you're going to start to look the part even more. Then you're going to really feel good about what you do, because that imposter syndrome, that whole, I don't look the way that you want to get in that groove. Be that person. Be the person you want to become, the person who represents that outcome. So envision yourself. What will you look like 10 weeks later? If every week you come back, watch one of these videos again, and implement that particular homework that week, I guarantee you, you're going to look like you should, the way you'd envision you to look after the 10 weeks is done. And then you can run the 10 weeks again and again and again and again. And that's the thing here, right? Run 5 times through the year. You got 50 out of your 52 weeks of the year. Get yourself set up for periodization. Run through this. And what is periodization? Well, we'll talk about that today in the last few minutes of our final session here. So I hope that my boxing story has transferred over into a way that you can see and relate to where I am today, because I had the chance to go back passionately and start exercising by practicing slowly with the kids. I was doing light walking around because my knees couldn't handle running. So why would I take on a skill like running that is literally a skill and something I hadn't practiced in years, and then just start pounding on my joints again? I would recommend you start walking, not running, right? Take the walking and get the activity through steps. How many steps a day? They recommend 6,000, 8,000. I say anything over 10,000 is considered to be ultimate, like elite. So if you can get in the 10,000 or 12,000 steps a day or more, you're going to talk some major fat burn. You're going to talk some major results. But you got to be active. You got to move. You might even want to get yourself a step tracker, whether it's an Apple Watch or a Fitbit or a Garmin or whatever you're wearing, Whoop strap. Get yourself something that can help you with that. Gamify the process. But remember, I said, don't rely on a scale for weight. Then don't be a slave to this device either. Don't, be the person who's got to get up at, through 2 o'clock in the morning because you forgot you got to get ahead 200 steps or 300 steps for today because you've been missing it. You know what I'm saying? Don't be a slave to the device. Don't be a slave to the scale. So here I was, 240 pounds, back into coaching, super excited about what I was doing. Started walking with the kids, maybe put the boxing gloves on and hit the bag a little bit. Couldn't last very long, didn't have any stamina. But at the end of the day, I had to find out about taking on nutrition for the first time, a little bit healthier than I had been doing. And I had to learn about building some muscle, because I didn't really have any muscle other than what I had built just naturally through boxing, through strength training. Like, for example, push-ups, strength training. Pull-ups would be strength training. And, sit-ups would even be strength training with using gravitational force against your body's weight. So when it comes to strength training, you can start with body weight. That is weightlifting, especially when you do it repetitively. And I'll talk a little bit about that today as well. There's a few notes that I've made here that I want to cover for you guys. Out of all this excitement, I'll probably bounce around a lot, but I want to make this the final episode that really impacts. And if you love what you're seeing today, share this. If you love what you're hearing, share this. And also subscribe to the channel, because I would love for you to see, we've got more here. I've got workouts you can do with me to follow along. I've got video tutorials on some of the techniques, because form is extremely important. When you're doing a squat or a deadlift or a Russian twist or a get up, like a Turkish get up, you want to know how to do it correctly. There's videos all over our YouTube for that. And of course, I love to hear about what you want to know more of, what you want to hear about. If there's questions about my journey that I can share, I would love to be able to do that. So comment on the videos you see. Let me know what else you'd like to see so that I can make more content for you. I love being a content creator, but I love being a coach. And I love to coach because I started out in a gym for the first time when I was about 21 years old. And I had just walked into a fitness gym, not a boxing gym. I started a boxing gym when I was 7. But to fitness gym, to walk in where there were machines, dumbbells, barbells, things I knew nothing about. I'd never, ever dabbled in any of that in my entire boxing career. Sorry. And so looking at what I knew going into that, I was like many of you might be right now, sitting there going, I don't know where to start. I don't have any structure or any program knowledge or anything. I don't know the first thing about strength training, except I saw on YouTube somebody doing this or that, XYZ, whatever they're doing. And most of the time, the people you're looking at are already the vision of what you think you want to look like. They're ripped, they're airbrushed, or whatever they are, right? They're all tanned up. They're looking the best they've ever looked. They're doing a specific little photo shoot, or maybe they've made a whole channel about fitness because they look great and they do have that physique. So they figured I could monetize my physique. I could make money off of how good I look. But yet they don't have the actual knowledge. They don't have the actual programming. They don't have the actual technical savvy. They don't even know that they're doing it wrong. And yet they put it on video for you to see and you follow that. This is the danger of social media. There are some great aspects and there's a lot of great opportunities like this to get free coaching and great advice, but there's also a lot of detrimental. So how do you sort through the noise? Well, you find a couple of people who are on here doing the work, putting in the information for you, who've also got the track record and the experience to show you. So the reason I told you my story earlier, I was 240 pounds. I came to the gym for the first time when I was 20 or 21 years old, walked into a place that I was completely scared and unfamiliar with, even though I had been, in Olympic level boxing to the highest degree of sport athletic. I had never been in this weightlifting world. I had never understood diet or nutrition. So it's okay to not know. It's just not okay to stay there. So I had to get educated. And here's what happened. Learning a little bit about nutrition and balanced, whole, clean food, which you've done in 9 episodes with me, I was able to put together some really good clean eating structure. Then I learned my way around the gym by getting a program designed by one of the trainers there at the gym. He put together a routine that I could follow by going around and doing a bit of a circuit style of exercises that took on my full body. So full body exercise a couple times a week made all the difference. But what happened was when I put those two things together, plus my passion for teaching the kids back at the boxing club and this vision I had of myself being healthy again, maybe even being the better than the aesthetic I was as an Olympic potential at 147 pounds, I can tell you today, I lost the 80 pounds that I had put on. I was now down to about 165 pounds, which was higher than my competition weight, but I looked better. I had muscle. I was leaner and much healthier than I was. And from there, I got really excited about building muscle. Building muscle became the main objective. And today, when you scroll through Instagram, Facebook, or any of the other platforms that you're going to hear from influencers, especially doctors who are now having a platform to speak out instead of having to go see them at the hospital. They're here on social media and they're sharing their knowledge, their studies, human randomized control trials, where they put groups of people and test on humans, not on rats or animals. They're actually doing tests on people and they're finding one common denominator. The population is under muscled. Most everybody is suffering from obesity. Most everyone has issue. The major part of the population is struggling with body fat. And every time you see another ad, here's how to lose 5 pounds of body fat. Here's how you're going to do. You're going to just see fat being the target market now because so many people are over fat and under muscle. But under muscle is really the biggest problem because that's where you're going to get your longevity. So you're starting to hear this narrative now that muscle is the organ of longevity. Muscle. You're not going to get that from diet alone. You can tell me I do keto, I do carnivore, I do Atkins, I do keto, paleo, whatever. You can pick whatever diet you want. All you're doing is creating some form of caloric restriction, which is causing you to have less calories in your energy balance, causing you to lose weight. None of that's going to build muscle. Protein is, we talked about this before, the one macronutrient responsible for the growth and cellular repair. So protein has to increase. You know it as well as I do, but yet you go ahead and you try tracking like we talked about before. Put it into your FitnessPal or put it into your Fat Secret or whatever app you're using. Put in the food and everything you've eaten and see if your protein is hitting a gram per pound of your body weight. Or maybe even a gram per pound of ideal body weight, because maybe you're, 300 pounds right now. I was there at 240, right? I didn't want to be at 240. I would rather be about where I am right now because I feel amazing at 190 pounds. So I would eat 190 grams of protein. This would be my goal, even if I was 240. You see what I'm saying? The ideal goal would be for me to make that ideal goal of where I want to end up and at least start there. Nothing wrong with eating more protein, but definitely get it. So is this a conversation about weight training? Yes. Is it about strength training? Yes. Is it about protein? Yes, of course. They all go together. So here's what I need you to do is start making sure you're getting your protein. That goes back to one of our previous weeks that we talked about macronutrient. Now you put all that diet together. You got the nutrients in the soil to grow something. Caloric deficit, not a great place to grow from. Growth should take place when you've reached at least caloric maintenance for your day. That's your basal metabolic rate plus expenditure. Is all this getting to be too deep? There's a lot of information, right? Which leads us to coaching. Getting coaching and having someone who's been here, done that, and knows how to teach it to you and can communicate it well so that you can step by step get 1% better each day. It'll make this journey so smooth and so easy for you. So I'm not here to sell you our coaching. You can get it from wherever you want. Precision Elite Training, obviously one of the top in home training is what we do. I've spent many years in the gym. First off, transforming myself and then starting to create programs to be able to help other people. Hundreds of clients later, testimonials later, I've been able to see each and every one of you who has worked with me, you know who you are, transform 20, 30 pounds, maybe more. I've had one client 120 pounds. I've had another client lose 80. I've had multiple clients lose in the 50s. Is that really the biggest achievement? No, it's not about the weight loss. Yes, that's great, but it's about who they became in the journey and the transformation and whether they can keep that off, because there's a lifestyle that has to be achieved in that transformation. That's what makes me the most proud. The people that are still here today, not the ones who quit, not the ones who lost 30 pounds and walked away and said, thanks for everything, and then went back and gained 30 pounds because they weren't happy with the lifestyle. You've got to learn that it's a lifestyle and it's not about a weight class. It's about the journey of transforming your body, your mind, your spirit. Everything's going to change. So you got to be ready to leave the person you are. If you're not happy with who you are, where your body's at right now, you're going to need to kill that person, that body, that version of you, and you're going to need to create a new one. But give it time, be consistent, stay with it, and let's implement some strength training that's going to get you there. So today we're talking about strength training. I've told you the story. I ended up losing the 80 pounds. I built muscle, and now I have a more muscular frame. I have a much better physique that I'm proud of. I feel fantastic at 46 years old. And some of you may not know me personally yet, but I hope you feel you know me through the channel. And you can say, you know what? I'm in and around that age bracket. I want to look and feel the way he's talking, the way he is, the positive and the energy. I don't just have this energy, because I'm here to do a YouTube channel. I have this energy all the time. This is normal for me, but it's not to say that you need to be all high strung and energetic. It's just that you're going to feel something like that. You're going to feel different. When you have food in the system and you have muscle on the body and you have confidence, you stand at a different place and you speak from a different place. You carry a different posture. Try these things. You'll see. Do the work. You'll see. Okay. So the first thing that I had to realize was that when I first started training, I needed to understand that training for a specific goal was more powerful than training for multiple goals at once. And so I wrote some notes here, and I'm going to try and read these out to you guys. The first thing that I wanted to get at was fat loss. Okay. Fat loss was really important to me because I was overweight and I thought I've got a lot more fat on my body than I want to have. So fat loss is a goal that a lot of people come after right off the bat. Okay. And regardless of whether you choose to do Zumba or circuit training or whatever the modality is that you pick something that you enjoy, but also understand that it's going to take stimulating the muscle in order to create muscle growth, but it's going to take calorie deficit to create fat loss. So yes, calorie deficit from nutrition is going to be a big part of this. But if you want to build muscle, like I said, you're better off to be at a maintenance calorie, and then you will be able to feed the body what it needs and use your exercise expenditures and your NEAT activity, like we talked about in some of the previous episodes, as your extra deficit. So you can afford to eat more good, healthy, clean food and be more active. Your activity will be your expenditure. Okay. So I'm going to leave you with some really quick things. If you're looking for fat loss, okay, then that is a specific goal. And a lot of people end up picking cardio when they try to go after fat loss. I recommend that you don't chase cardio. Cardio could be a little needle mover later in the game, but cardio is not the one that's going to invest in your long term. If you want to get long-term fat loss, invest in muscle building. This is important. If you've never done any training before, start with body weight training, maybe full body exercise every couple days. You're going to see major improvements in your strength. And that could be as simple as squatting with your body weight, doing some push-ups off the kitchen counter, or maybe off your knees or whatever. Find a way that you can do some push exercises. If you have the ability to do some rowing and pulling, rubber bands are great for at home. Maybe a chin-up bar. If you can't do a chin-up bar, get on a chair and practice chin-ups, but push with your legs off the chair as well. And that's not cheating. That's about using your muscles to do something you're not doing. Sitting on the couch is where you're not going to build muscle. Okay. You got to get up and move your body. So strength train, use your body weights first. That means you don't need to go buy a fancy system. You don't need to invest in a bunch of equipment. Okay. So should you be doing cardio or weights? I definitely recommend you should be doing weights if you want a fat loss. And so then there's also the idea of performance. If you're an athlete and you're training for a sport, then that's totally different. You're going to sport train, and that technique and that skill is in the sport. But if you're training in the weight room, you could still be training for a specific sport. But the idea there is there's going to be seasons that you have to think about. Are you in the off season, in the in season? Is your life in a season where you're getting ready for the beach, or is it wintertime and you're completely in hibernation mode? There's a lot of things to consider whether we should be chasing performance, chasing fat loss, or working on the overall aesthetic. And that's why I call precision elite training a system and not just a workout. Here's a plan, follow this, you'll get results. It is a system. It's knowing what you want to do and then setting a game plan to get there. So in the way of cardio, think of life as intensities. I would like to see you put in short bursts of intensity versus long-term pounding, stressing, and damaging, which means get away from the high-intensity aerobic class approach to nonstop punishment and adrenaline junkie chasing, and get more into strength lifting and intervals, set by set, rest and recover, and then go again with good intensity on the next set. This could be body weight, though. It's all proportionate to where you are. And so there's a couple things I want you to consider when we're talking about the adaptations of the muscle. The first one is muscle tension. The second one is muscle stress. And the third one is muscle damage. So I'm going to try to wrap this up real quick for you guys. I don't want to take too much of your time here. We're at the 30-minute mark. So I'm going to sum it up like this. An analogy that I like to use for muscle tension is fishing. So think about the bigger the fish on the line, the more tension there is on the line. In order for you to get response, you have to use a big enough fish. When you're a beginner, that body weight of yours is probably the biggest fish you're going to need to carry, right? But once you get good at that, the line is going to need to be stronger, and you'll end up with having to use a little bit bigger fish to get the job done to have a response there. There should be some strain on the line, right? Which now takes us to muscle stress. If there's a strain on the line that is adequate, amount of weight on the muscle that is adequate, then stress is the amount that it can handle. Just like if I said to you, how stressed are you? And you're saying, I can't even handle it anymore. Your line's about to break. That could be too much stress. So the amount of stress on the muscle is like saying how long the fish could stay on the line before it breaks. So how much stress can you handle? I would recommend you make your homework right now to start training to a point where you're at about 80%, maybe 70% of your tension and your stress. Okay. So think of that, the two things together, the tension being the weight on the line and the stress being how long it can stay on the line before it breaks. And 100% chasing that full out, I'm going to always punish myself to the max, is not the amount of stress that you want on there, because that is going to lead to either a broken line or less chance of it recovering, which leads us to the third one, muscle damage. Muscle damage, I use this as the line snapping. If the line snaps, you're done. So how much muscle damage do you want? Well, we do need a certain amount of damage because the body is going to recruit muscle fibers, motor units, and it's going to repair during this time when you heal up after the fact. But you got to do a certain amount of damage to warrant a response. Does the body understand that it needs a stronger pound test or a stronger muscle line to carry a bigger fish? It will understand that progressively. And so it's really important that you want to see gains. I would recommend you slow down and spend 2 to 3 seconds on what we call the eccentric, or the lowering of the movement. Whatever exercise you're doing, there's a strong concentric part where the muscle contracts and shortens, and there's a longer, slow, drawn out portion that you're going to do where you let the weight down. Spend more time there. Slow the reps down, time under tension, and I promise you're going to see major improvement in your strength gains and your muscle size. So that's where I want you to think about muscle damage. Teach your body how big the fish should be, how many repetitions and how long it should be on the line to warrant that stimulation. And then the amount of pound test is going to increase. You're going to get stronger. Therefore, the fish will get bigger. The line will get stronger. You'll be able to handle more. If you come in with a really strong pound test and you catch a baby fish, you're not even going to feel it. It's not going to do anything. There's no need to go get bigger, stronger test, bigger, stronger muscles, right? Is this analogy hitting home? It making sense? Some people don't even fish, so they're probably not even familiar, right? But I think you can understand the analogy. And if not, then think of it as muscle. You do need to overload it. You do need to stimulate it. So tension, stress, and then, of course, the damage we do to heal up. So when we heal is when we sleep, when we recover. That's the most important part. The training programs, that's the part that makes it easy. If you can get a coach who's been there and done it, you can get a coach who has programs that are already laid out, or something like we have at Precision Elite Training, where you can purchase programs in our app and then apply those to your gym, to your home workout, wherever you are. You could use barbells, dumbbells, rubber bands. They all work. You could build muscle with lightweight, medium weight, heavyweight. It depends where you are and how much you're putting together that structure. If you know how much weight to use, how long to keep the tension on the line, and then how much damage is being done in that to warrant recovery and then see muscle gain, then you're winning. But if you don't know how to do all that, please reach out, get a program, either reach out to us or find a program online that you can do. Don't just start throwing things together. You're wasting a lot of time, you're spinning your tires, and you're getting confused by a lot of the noise out there. What you need is proper structure, not more information or new ideas. Okay, everybody's looking for this crazy new idea that's going to change the game. Stop chasing that. It's not out there. The functional foundational stuff is where you should begin. Body weight, structure, full body routine, great. You see people out there going, what split are you using? Upper body, lower body, push, pull, legs. What is your split? If you haven't been training for a few years, I wouldn't even start splitting things up. That's a lot of volume on one particular area. Yet you're so beginner, just a little touch on every area will warrant a lot of result. Some of my favorite Mind Pump, the guys on Mind Pump who do podcasting and talking about fitness, one of the things they always say is do the least amount to warrant the greatest result. They're not out there telling you to punish your body and pound yourself into submission just to get results. Take it down, way down. Do a full body routine. Do it every couple days and watch the results come pouring in. It's often that less is more. Often. You've heard that, you know it. And in nutrition, in weight training, we're going to see all these parallels. I've been with you for 10 weeks now, and I'm more excited than I've ever been because I know that if you've listened to all of the episodes, you are more educated than you were. And education is extremely powerful, but it's even more important that you apply the information. So I'm going to leave you with that thought right there. The main focus today, find a goal you're going to work on. Is it fat loss? Is it muscle gain? Is it performance? Is it rehab? Maybe you had an injury, you got to rehabilitate. Find something you're specifically working on and go towards that one thing, that one modality, and work on that. Stay in one pocket at a time instead of trying to chase everything. Okay. You're going to really have a hard time finding results if you're spread out doing, I want to do 10 different things. Pick one. Okay. Training for fat loss is all about inefficiency and adaptation, which means if you're trying to keep the fat burning, mixing it up is a good thing. It doesn't mean mix it up every single workout. You're not just a variety chaser and it's like, I want to try everything under the sun. You're going to periodize for 3 or 4 weeks a specific mode that you're using, and then you're going to change it to prevent the plateau that you're probably going to face if you stay too long doing something. Just like your job. Are you bored at your job? You've probably gotten really good at it by now. Maybe it's time to look at another element of your job that you could focus on and get excited about again. Make a small change, a different department, a different room, a different position in your company. That could be very exciting for you. Same thing with weight training. Do the same thing too long, you adapt. You're no longer getting response from the body. Changing where you're fishing could make it exciting. Changing the line or the rod that you're using could make it exciting. You see what I'm saying? That analogy, that fishing, it does cross over. So keeping that in mind, getting fat loss is a journey. It's not a quick fix. It's not I lost 30 pounds in this month and yay for me. And then you gain it all back. It's about a journey. It's not about a scale. Okay. We talked about that. Training for muscle change, tension, stress, and damage, adequate resistance, 80%, and focusing on slow time under tension eccentrics are going to change the game for you. I want you to take that homework right now to the gym, to your home workout, wherever you're at, and apply those 3 things. The 80% intensity perceived exertion meter, the slow, steady, eccentric, and making sure the fish on the line is big enough to warrant some tension and some stress on that line. Fix those 3 things, guarantee you're going to get some results. And finally, the last thing is if you have no idea what you're doing and you don't have a program that you're following right now, you're just guessing it through, guesstimation isn't going to get you the muscle you're looking for. It isn't going to get you the body you want. And you're not going to be in your later years thriving, feeling amazing, having great energy, and getting a well-rounded sleep and good energy. Like all of it is going to come back to what you did today and what you've been doing since consistently, up to the point of wherever you end up, how many great years you have on this planet. Take action now. Today's your day to do something with it. So if you've been with us the whole time, thank you guys for joining us. Thank you for being part of our Precision Elite Training Studios and our team. Thank you for being part of our family. As I always said, like and share and subscribe to the channel. It helps us with the algorithm. It helps us get our information out there, lets people know that we exist. Today was the most exciting one for me because strength training became my passion when I realized I could be more muscular, look better, feel better, and have that longevity factor, because cardio was trading time for calorie expenditure. And as soon as I stopped doing the cardio, the weight starts coming back on because I haven't built anything that's working for me. It's a trade of time for money, right? Or time for fat loss. Muscle building, though, stays with you. Muscle stays on the body, makes life a lot easier because you got less stress from all the things that are trying to challenge you when you're stronger to handle it. But at the same time, calories get burned by the new muscle that exists on your body without you having to do anything. Now you're doing less and getting a greater result. So aging with muscle is going to be the greatest investment you could possibly make. Get yourself a program so that you know what you're doing, how long you're doing it. Everything's laid out for you, making it simple. There are so many great programs that are out there. You've got to look through to find the best ones. All I can tell you is I've already done the research. I've already put all the work in. I've already created those programs for my clients. If you want to be one of my clients, all you got to do is reach out. Let us know you want to get a Precision Elite training program, and we can do that for you. We'll get you set up in the app. Okay, so reach out to us here on YouTube or Facebook, Instagram. We're all over. Precision Elite Training is where you want to find your information. If you're here with us and you like it, then we're happy to have you. All right, guys, thank you so much for today. Thank you for the last 10 weeks. And I look forward to seeing you in our next series. If there's something else you'd like me to cover, please let us know in the comments, and we'll see you next time.